Hey guys, Graven here. What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Marvel Contest of Champions and the How to Effectively Use series. We are backing up again for this episode with Falcon. Now, this is a character I didn't have previously that was in the game whenever I started this series, and I have acquired him as a 3-star, and I've used an Awakening Stone and a Signature Stone to get him up to level 2 so I can actually see what XO8 does. I like being able to actually show you guys what these characters can do in my own game and not outside of it. But to me, Falcon is probably one of those more OP characters that probably doesn't get the recognition that he deserves as an OP character, because I don't think a lot of people understand exactly how he works. So we're going to take a look in here. This guy's just rank 1, level 10 of 10. I haven't really been focused on trying to get my 3 stars up lately, because everything's been on that rank 5 kick, so still saving up to get the next one. But let's get in here and take a look. XO8 Red Wing begins each fight immediately ready to go. Additionally, Red Wing's lock-on lasts 2 seconds longer and provides an additional 6.7% crit hit chance. So that 6.7 is going to fluctuate with the higher that you go. I wish that the lock-on would last longer than 2 seconds. Not exactly sure if that goes up higher with the 4 stars or not, but I would think that it definitely would, because they're going to make the higher level characters a little bit more OP. But 2 seconds longer is definitely kind of cool. So let's take a look at his passives, and this is where we learn how to use that Red Wing lock-on. To begin a recon scan, dodge back and hold block for 2 seconds. That's another thing that's kind of detrimental that I don't really like. It's cool in the fact that there are some characters like Gambit who do the same thing with the charge, but he gets interrupted anytime that someone hits him. With Falcon, he doesn't get interrupted, as you can see from the footage that's going to be playing up in the top right hand corner. But he doesn't get penalized for being hit while he's blocking. With Gambit, he does. He loses the charge once he starts, and I'll cover Gambit more in the next video. But that 2 seconds, it just takes a little bit. I would say, if you go up against a little bit harder opponents than what I was going up against in the videos, because I mean, he's only 683. He's pretty low level. I was taking him into some pretty low level fights. The higher that you go, the more aggressive that the AI is going to be. And while they don't exactly break your concentration on getting that recon with or that lock on with hitting you while you're blocking, it could potentially be broke by a heavy attack. I mean, it's either going to be broke by the heavy attack, or it's going to be broke by you having to evade out of the way of the heavy attack. So 2 seconds, it may not seem like a lot of time, but it really kind of is inside the game. But while locked on, the opponent's defensive ability accuracy is reduced by 100% for 10 seconds. Defensive ability accuracy. That kind of stuff plays in with a lot of the defensive abilities that we have in the game. Kind of like Daredevil's evade. That's a defensive ability. So evade is going to be completely wiped out by this. 100% for 10 seconds. Any kind of defensive abilities that you can think of inside the game, it's going to drop that accuracy by 100% for 10 seconds. As long as you are in the lock-on mode. So I mean, this guy would be absolutely a nightmare in Alliance Wars on defense at high levels, because he's going to be, well, not even at high levels. I mean, just as a start-off base character, he would be pretty much a nightmare for anybody who has a lot of defensive ability accuracy. That's the kind of characters you normally take into Alliance Wars. At least that's like Daredevil. The biggest one that jumps out to me is Daredevil. Red Wing remains locked on to Science Champions for 20% longer than normal. So we get a 20% buff off of Science Champions, or we can last a little bit longer. Additionally, Red Wing remains locked on to mutants for 20% shorter than normal. So there is a class buff and class disadvantage there going on with both of those. So I do like the fact that they added both of them in there, and it was just not left completely OP. Passive, Falcon's scanning system in his goggles recalibrates each time the opponent triggers a passive evade, increasing Falcon's critical dodge or critical damage by 27% until his next critical hit. So that would be kind of like anytime you go up against a character like Black Widow and she evades, anytime that you go up against a character like Spider-Man, who is going to evade all the time, he can actually increase his crit damage by 27% for a pretty good while. Especially, like I said, if you're going up against Spider-Man, you could potentially raise it a ton before you hit your first crit hit. And that hit's probably going to be pretty good. I would actually be trying to save up for an L3. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. Special attack 1, 85% chance to inflict bleed, dealing 87% of your attack as direct damage over 3.5 seconds. The chance to trigger bleed increases by 15% if Red Wing is locked on. I would definitely recommend, if you're planning on doing any special attacks, that you try to get locked on down, because it's a little bit more pertinent to have it, because it's going to raise your percentages pretty drastically. And his bleed's actually not that bad when it does proc. As you can see from the video footage that was playing above, he does do a pretty significant amount of damage on a bleed attack for a very low level 3-star. Special attack 2. This attack ignores physical resistance and has 15% increased critical hit chance if Red Wing is locked on. That's another big thing. I mean, it ignores physical resistance, because that's exactly what the movie is. It's completely physical. So you need that, or else it's not going to do nearly as much damage. 15% increased critical hit chance if Red Wing is locked on. May not seem like a lot, but it's a good chance to take it. I mean, you can essentially use the locked on just about any time you build up for a special attack. You just have to try and get it in there. And the biggest advantage for that locked on, special attack 3. This attack incinerates the enemy. Incinerate is probably not his best ability. I believe the bleed does a little bit more damage than the incinerate does. It probably does a little bit more damage the higher level he is, but this one, it's really kind of a slow tick, dealing 80% of your attack as energy damage over 10 seconds. This effect also removes perfect block chance. That's a pretty good one. And reduces block proficiency by 50% while it's active. If Red Wing is locked on, an additional 20% block proficiency is removed. This is like huge for characters like Captain America and Captain America World War II, who have those really huge inherent block proficiencies. If you have locked on, you're going to drop their block proficiency by 70%. So even if they're blocking, you're going to be doing a pretty significant amount of damage. I mean, 70% block proficiency gone is pretty awesome. I mean, if we were still in the days where we had the leadership block proficiency, going up against a character like Falcon would be an absolute nightmare, because you're still going to be taking damage if you get hit by that special 3 attack. Which, I mean, I know a lot of you guys, myself included, we're not going to be trying to get hit by a special 3. We're going to be trying to bait out of those L1s and L2s, especially if you know which one's which and which one's going to be easier to avoid. With Falcon, you're going to be trying to bait out that special 2 as much as possible. But that's pretty insane to think about. I mean, you're removing perfect block chance, and you're reducing block proficiency by 70%. That's pretty sweet to me. Plus the 80% of your attack is energy damage over 10 seconds from Incinerate. Incinerate's one of those more fancy abilities here lately that does a pretty significant amount of damage if it's on the right character. There are certain characters out there who obviously have much better incinerates than Falcon does, and can proc it off of something more than a special attack 3. Passive. Falcon sends out Red Wing to scout for his teammates and provide intel. Each of Falcon's synergies provide an additional 7% physical resistance, penetration, and critical damage. So, I mean, that kind of just sums up what he's actually got in his synergy bonuses, because if you look, we've got plus 5% armor and Red Wings recon bonus. 6% crit and Red Wings recon. And the first one's with Captain America and Captain America World War II. Second's with War Machine or Black Widow, which I should have said or on Captain America or Captain America World War II. But all champions gain 6% crit rate and Red Wings recon bonus with Vision, Age of Ultron, or Black Panther Civil War. So those are just some of the little things that make Falcon a little bit more OP. He's got recon, bleed, incinerate. Overall, I think he's a pretty awesome character. I think he's more leaned toward the offensive side of things, is what I would say. Definitely more of an offensive character than a defensive character. But I don't honestly think he would be a terrible defensive character either. If he was, at high levels on the signature ability, I don't think he would be too awful. Really, in either instance, he could be used. It's really just my opinion on it, but that's pretty much what I give here is my opinion. Hopefully this helped you guys out in understanding Falcon a little bit better, letting you guys see his abilities and what he can actually do. I actually like Falcon. I think he's a pretty OP character. I just don't think people have played with him enough, or, there have been other characters that have come out that have been a little bit better than him in certain classes, and people just give them a lot more notice. But I definitely don't think that Falcon should be left to kind of wade in the waters by himself there. I think he's a sleeper. He's a very good character in that sleeper sense, that not a lot of people have used him, not a lot of people will do anything with him. But he's definitely a good character to add into the mix on things. If I had anything to say about it, I'd say he could probably be a pretty good potential AQ or Alliance Wars offensive character. Like I said, at higher SIG levels, I think he would probably be a pretty decent defender in Alliance Wars. And he could come in really handy in Alliance quests. But, alright guys, so that's going to be it for this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something. But that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If this is your first time watching the channel, please consider leaving a sub on it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like on it. And as always, guys, remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.